This is my beloved Brompton electric C-Line 12-speed. I say beloved because I've been testing it out over the last month here in Bentonville. And so in this review, first we'll do a walk around. I'll talk about all the quirky components around this electric bike. Then we'll get into some first-person riding footage, see how the bike performs. And then yes, I'll give you the pros and cons towards the end of the video. But first, let's take a closer look. So yes, this thing is tiny if you haven't seen a Brompton before, and this is really the main selling point of this electric bike. If you don't value a compact or lightweight electric bike, trust me, this one isn't for you. Just wait until you hear the price. But let's unfold this bike, and I'll fold it towards the end of the walk around, and I should be able to do it under 20 seconds, at least according to the website. So we'll put the handlebars up here, and this is my favorite part, just so satisfying. And there's a lot of things that make this bike special, but one of them is that these are handmade in London. The company started all the way back in 1975. That's almost 50 years. Of course, they started with non-electric Bromptons, and then they made an electric one, which essentially the only difference is adding a battery and a motor. And brace yourself for the price. The C-Line 12-speed comes in at $4,250. Yes, you heard me right. And don't say I didn't warn you. This bike is for those who really prioritize a lighter weight electric bike and yes, the compactness. Let's talk about all the quirks. The first one being that, well, there's no kickstand. That's what the folding functionality is for because it stands really nicely. So let's put it up against a tree. Other quirky features include the fact that there's just one folding pedal. The other pedal is just normal. And this is a 12-speed, and they do that by having two shifters, 4 gears here on the left, 3 on the right. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then there's a motor in the front, that's rare. And your eyes aren't deceiving you. We have rim brakes. And then yes, the cabling all runs external. But then yes, have you ever seen a e-bike battery in a bag? Well, this bike has one. And another quirk, no suspension, at least in the traditional sense. There is a suspension block though to help absorb shocks and vibrations from the road. And I should also mention the top speed is just 15.5 miles per hour. If I haven't lost you yet and you are planning to buy a Brompton, do me one favor, just use our affiliate link down in the description before you make your purchase. It's a direct way for you to support the channel. Thank you so much for your support. With that, let's take a closer look at some of the other component choices. The bike weighs in at just 38.1 pounds, super easy to carry, especially while folded. The frame is made out of steel, and yes, the seat post is super adjustable. I can still get full leg extension as a 6-foot tall rider, and it even goes higher than that if you are taller. And if you're on the shorter end, the seat post does get lower, though you do need to be mindful of clearance issues because the seat post does go through the frame, as you can see here. Up front is a 250 watt motor. Stay tuned to see how it performs. We have Brompton rim brakes on the front as well as the rear. They like to put their branding everywhere. And the tires are Schwalbe Marathon Racer tires. These are 349 by 35C. Street tread, of course, reflective sidewalls. And you do get fenders both in the front and in the rear. Note the wheel right there. Here's a closer look at some of the other cabling. The motor disconnect right here. And there are lights that run off the main battery. And this is the battery. It comes in this really nice branded bag, and it simply slides on the front. It is a 300 watt hour battery. It weighs 2.89 kilograms, or around 6 to 6.5 pounds. Super lightweight. You can have the lights automatically turn on. That's what this button does. Or you can just select to turn them on. There's a look at the front light, and then a basic light in the rear. It is not brake actuated. So we have a battery capacity, that's the top bars here, and then this power button, yes, will turn off the battery, but also will change through the pedal assist level. So 0, no pedal assist. Yes, this bike can be pedaled with no assist, but then 1, 2, and 3, and no, you don't need to reach over to change the pedal assist level, but you do have to download the app if you want to do that. The handlebars, because there's no display. And the bag has a nice front zipper pocket. a nice shoulder strap, and then this is the button to remove the battery. Simply push and lift out. The charger port is located on the left side right here. It comes with a 2-amp charger. There's also a side pocket on the left and right, and a front zipper pocket. And tucked underneath here, you see that USB label. There is a USB port that can be accessed through this hole. And so you can run a cable to charge your device if you need to. And to have some extra fun with this e-bike, I'm going to use all the YouTube ad revenue to buy accessories for this bike because they offer some cool ones, including 2 front bags. So you can put your battery in it still, but also haul some groceries. You can also add a rear rack if you want. They have a multi-tool that can go inside the frame. And so if you want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe because we'll do a follow-up video jumping into the handlebars. So we have locking grips on both sides. There's a nice bell. And then yes, 4 gears on the left. That's going to be your derailleur externally. But then on the right, 3 gears, and yes, 3 times 4 is 12, so that's the number of gears you get. And those 3 gears impact the internally geared hub right here, which is great because there's going to be no maintenance on this Sturmy Archer internally geared hub. And as I click these gears, you'll see this cable move. That's for the internally geared hub. And then you have these fun Brompton branded levers for those rim brakes on both sides. And these are the signature, what I'll call U-shaped handlebars. They do offer a higher stem if you'd prefer to put the handlebars in a higher position. Moving on, we have a Brompton branded saddle. There's no bottle cage bosses, so I added our strap mount ABC cage available at shop.ebikeescape.com. This is the left folding pedal, push down, and then it slides up behind Brompton cranks. And the motor is engaged with a torque sensor. And here's where it gets really interesting with the frame. I'll point out this lever here. That's how you release the rear tire when I fold it, hopefully under 20 seconds in a little bit. And included in mine was this pump, which attaches to the frame very nicely. And then the rear wheels, 2 right here and 1 on the fender. That's where it rests when the bike is folded. A look at the rear rim brakes. Brompton's signature branding, and then yes, this is a C line. You can also pick up a P line if you prefer. And in the rear, we have a chain guide here protecting the derailleur. Super unique design and unique to Brompton. We have 11 to 18 teeth in the rear. That's of course only made possible by the internally geared hub. And then in the front, a 50 tooth front chainring. And on this side, you can see all the cabling running carefully through this frame, avoiding the chainring by just a little bit. It might not look like it, but there's a ton of thought that went into designing this electric bike to make it, of course, fold. Let's see if I can do it in under the 20 stated seconds. All right, can I fold a Brompton electric in under 20 seconds? Start the timer. All right, pedal folded here on the left side, that one towards the rear. Remove the battery. I'm going to undo this clasp right here on the left side, turn the wheel a little bit to the right, pull that lever, bring the tire around, bring this around, boom, lower the seat post, that locks it so nothing comes undone, and undo the handlebars. All right, did I do it? I hope so. And what's awesome is I can just walk around with this. Super compact. With that, let's get into some first-person riding footage and see how this bike performs. All right, this should be fun because first I'm going to show you the 3 levels of pedal assist. We'll see how the bike performs on flat ground. And then, yes, we will get into a hill climb test and see how this bike can or can't climb. Now, one of the things that I think is probably a must use on this bike is getting the app. And that's because it allows you to change the pedal assist levels right here on your smartphone instead of having to reach down. Maybe not as big of a deal if you're just staying in the same pedal assist level all the time. And it was easy to pair my Brompton. I have current time and current speed. And we are going to start off in pedal assist level 1 in first gear on both shifters. And nice leisurely cadence. Remember that this is a torque sensor. So the more power that I put in to my legs, the motor is going to amplify it. I do need to shift up, and I'm going to do so on the Sturmy Archer internally geared hub. And now we are in second gear. cruising at around 6.5 miles per hour. I've found that the speed doesn't update quite as fast as the other GPS speed that I use. Now we're going at 10 miles an hour. And so what I like to prioritize is using the internally geared hub and then using the 4 gears around that and cruising at 10 miles an hour and a little bit more power. I mean, this bike is so light that you can probably get to the top speed just by using your own leg power. And we are at 13 miles an hour. All right, let's go into pedal assist level 2. Just going to give my phone a little bit of a swipe there. And let's see, going up to 3rd gear on the right, still in 2nd on the left. A slower cadence, but still nice and easy, going at 14.5 miles an hour. And this is where you can still hear more of the whirring of the motor. Maybe it comes across on video as well. But if I put in more effort, we can get to the top speed, which is just 15 miles an hour. I know that will be a bummer for some, but remember, this is a bike developed probably firstly for the European market, but also for those in dense urban environments where maybe you're not even going 20 miles per hour. And I'm going 16 now, but that's partly because I'm putting in more of my own effort. But it's safe to say that you can cruise very easily at 15 miles an hour if you want to, going 17 now. All right, pedal assist level 3. And I'm going to start from a stop for this one because I want to give you a sense of the full acceleration. Swipe right, and yep, the dot updates on my bag right here, full charge. And I shifted down, and I'm going to give this one good pedal stroke so you can likely hear the motor. The front wheel can really spin, so be careful on loose terrain. Here we go. And there we go. Need to shift up. 3rd gear on the right, 2nd on the left, and this feels pretty good. So you just get a lot more acceleration. Top speed still going to be the same in the 3rd level of pedal assist. Another nice thing with the internally geared hub is if I'm at a stoplight, I can just stop and say I need to shift down. There we go. Now when I start, it's going to be easy again, which is super handy. And since I'm here, thought it would be worthwhile to just show off some of the cool things in Bentonville. Very bike-friendly culture, bike-friendly trails everywhere. So if you ever get a chance, highly recommend checking this out. This trail is just by the sidewalk, by this road. And if you're on a Brompton or more than likely a mountain bike, you can have some fun on this little pump trail, maybe on your daily commute if you're lucky enough. And we're gonna go down this huge hill and see how this motor performs. But before we do that, let's just see how these brakes perform. All right, here is the massive hill that we're gonna go up in a second. Let's see how these brakes do. Whew. Going 26. All right. And yeah, you might have heard the rear wheel locking up a little bit, some squeaking. Now for the speeds that this bike is really intended for, I think the brakes are totally fine. They do not, though, offer as much braking power as hydraulic disc brakes. And of course, that choice is intentional. They've been doing bikes a long time. They could have hydraulic disc brakes if they wanted to. All right, let's get started with this hill climb test. I did go to my GPS because it's going to give me a better idea of the current speed that I'm going. And we'll go into pedal assist level 1. 1st gear, and just looking at this hill, it's daunting. I'll stop pedaling for a second so I can shift all the way down. There we go. And one of the main selling points of this specific model is obviously 12 gears. So it should be able to handle hills better. And in pedal assist level 1, 1st gear, I'm putting in a moderate amount of effort, but still able to climb. But this hill is so massive. I would definitely want to go into a higher pedal assist. Let's go into 2, see if we feel any relief there. Yes, a little bit. But more than likely for huge hills like this, pedal assist level 3. All right, can I relax the cadence? Yes. And you might have just heard the wheel spinning out a little bit on the loose gravel. So more than likely where you were riding this electric bike is probably not gonna have massive hills like this in an urban environment. And you're probably also buying this bike knowing that you will have to put in some pedal power. But in first gear, I can still cruise up at 5 miles an hour. And yeah, my legs will feel it, but I'm not gonna be huffing and puffing at the top of this hill. All right, we made it. And I will just talk a little bit about ergonomics. I've actually gotten used to these lower handlebars, though I think the higher ones, being 6 feet tall, would be my preference. And also just the torque sensor responsiveness. Sometimes there's a slight delay, but that's also good because then it doesn't really jerk you. And the seat being a more sleek style seat, I've gone for many rides over many miles, and it's pretty comfortable. Of course, not as comfortable as the super cushy seats that I see most often people purchase, but for the design of the saddle, I can go on a longer ride and still be comfortable. All right, with that, let's get into some third-person riding footage. I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Brompton Electric.
Over the last month, we really put the Brompton C-Line Electric's key feature, portability, to the test. One of the challenges during our travels was needing to bring a mountain bike, a utility e-bike to haul the kids, and another e-bike so I could ride with my wife. The Brompton filled this need perfectly. We just put it in the back of our van for our 12-hour drive, and since it doesn't take up much space, we had no worries. Now, this e-bike isn't perfect, but first, let me tell you what I liked about it before I get into what I'd like to see changed. First off, obviously, its portability and lightweight design are huge advantages over other e-bikes, including some other folding models that can still be quite bulky, in part due to their larger tires. I also really like the battery bag. It makes removing the battery super simple and adds some additional storage as well, though I think adding the larger Brompton city bag or basket bag up front or the optional rear rack would be really nice additions to make it more versatile. Again, we'll be putting all the revenue for this video back into accessories so we can do a follow-up, so be sure you like and subscribe. The small wheels make this e-bike extremely maneuverable, perfect for navigating tight spaces. Plus, being a lighter weight e-bike, it still feels zippy, especially in pedal assist level 3. And yes, even with the small 250 watt motor. The small motor also just sips the 300 watt hour battery for up to 45 miles of range. And unlike most e-bikes, you can pedal this very easily without any assist at all. I'm a huge fan of internally geared hubs for their simplicity, so I liked that on the Brompton Electric. I prioritized using those 3 gears first and then had the extra 4 gears on the left to adjust in between if needed. And then yes, it's just a quirky, cool e-bike that gets a lot of attention, especially when people see it folded. There's also the community of Brompton owners and the comfort in knowing that the Brompton brand is here to stay and will hold up over the long haul. Now, for what I'd like to see changed. While I understand the regulations over in the UK and Europe, I'd like to see a true Class 2 or at least a Class 1 version with a top speed of 20 miles per hour because the motor definitely feels capable of hitting higher speeds. I realize that it would reduce range and might not be as necessary in urban environments, but I'd still like to be able to get some assist over that 15.5 miles per hour. This was probably the biggest one for me as it was harder to keep up with my wife who is on a Class 2 e-bike. Next, changing pedal assist levels isn't the most intuitive, though it is helped by the app. Still though, you have to take your hands off the handlebars. Speaking of the handlebars, the higher ones are definitely something I'd consider here. I'm also not a huge fan of the cables hanging and running everywhere on this e-bike. Though this is how Brompton has been making folding bikes forever, I will say it's nice that the cables have no chance of getting crimped due to not running through the frame. That can be an issue on other folding bikes. And then yeah, the price is just a huge hurdle for recreational riders. It's really the more regular riders, commuters, and those who need an e-bike that doesn't take up much space who are going to be able to justify a purchase like this. But if we've helped you with your Brompton e-bike purchase, do me one huge quick favor and just use our link down in the description before you make your purchase. Thank you so much for your support. My Brompton C-Line is going to stay in the e-bike escape fleet because it fills a need that nothing else currently does. Plus, it's just plain fun. I barely notice it in my garage full of e-bikes, and a bonus, my wife enjoys it too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.